Hi, I'm Kat Code. I'm a privacy consultant from Canada.
And hi, I'm Jodi Daniels, a privacy consultant in Atlanta, Georgia.
And because we are the two twins of North America right now, we are going to talk about privacy laws that are new in Canada and the US. Jodi, why don't you get us started? What is the new proposed law for the US for privacy?
The new proposed law in the US for privacy is ding, 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 the American Data Privacy and Protection Act, known as ADPA. And it's a very interesting act, and we're going to get into all the details soon. But Kat, tell us the name of your fancy proposed law.
Oh, so right now, the introduced bill is the C-27, which I'm going to read because I won't get this right. It is the act to enact the Consumer Privacy Protection Act, the Personal Information and Data Protection Tribunal Act, and the Artificial Intelligence and Data Act, and to make consequential and related amendments to other acts.
And I see why you needed to read that.
And there's no acronym for that, so let's not make one. There are a bunch of smaller ones.
Okay, well, in the United States, we don't have a federal privacy law now at all that covers a comprehensive consumer privacy need. So that is what this law introduces. However, what's really interesting is it will preempt the existing 5 states that have privacy laws that are passed, and it will exempt the entities that are covered by existing national privacy laws, like HIPAA for healthcare entities, GLBA, the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act covering financial institutions. And so everyone else would be covered by this, and it would preempt those state laws. What about in Canada?
So in Canada, we are currently sitting with PIPEDA, which is the Personal Information Protection and Electronics Document Act, which is 20 years old and needed badly to be updated. So this is going to update pieces of that. It's going to go away and just become the Electronics Document Act. And then when we get this new one, so the base of this is the Cppa, which is not the Canadian Privacy and Protection Act. It is the Consumer, like California, Consumer Privacy Protection Act. And it will introduce a whole bunch of stuff that we were missing that kind of GDPR has, like right to deletion and right to portability. It is also introducing a brand new act, which I'm very excited about, which is the Artificial Intelligence Data Act. So I don't know, AIDA, whatever it is. So that is going to include ethics around the use of artificial intelligence, which is like sorely missing right now. And then the last one, which is the Tribunal Act, actually creates people who can try these issues and fine companies for not doing what they're supposed to do.
And in the US, you mentioned individual rights. This would offer individual rights because, for example, Jodi in Georgia has none. So this new law would introduce a variety of different individual rights. It also has around 16 categories of data that companies and organizations would need to sort through. For example, sensitive data would cover geolocation. So if an organization asks for my precise or gather my precise geolocation information, that is considered sensitive information. It introduces the idea of data minimization, meaning only collect what you actually need. Also introducing security measures, really requiring organizations to be thoughtful and actually have a security program. Privacy impact assessments, really understanding what is an organization actually going to do with this data and document and have a thoughtful process around risk. What about in Canada?
Awesome. So we had that, interestingly enough, in PIPEDA, but people didn't really know about it. And because we didn't have any kind of fines, and there wasn't really anyone overseeing that companies were doing this stuff, people just were not doing it. So the new fines that we're getting for this act is up to 5% of your gross profit. So we're actually one higher, I believe, than GDPR, which is at 4. Look at us doing a little bit better. I think it's $25 million. But what I really love too is inside this AI Act, there's actually a third-party audit. So artificial intelligence, if just because you can make it doesn't mean that there couldn't be some negative ramification to it. Companies often don't think in that big scale. They think, oh, I'm just determining what ad someone's going to see. That's not a big deal until you show that ad on their computer screen while someone else is looking at their screen, and that ad reveals something about them, like perhaps if they're pregnant or their sexual orientation. So there are ramifications to AI. And so that's a really big deal here. One interesting thing about Canada that we can go back to the US too is de-identified data. So de-identified data is data where the identifiers have been pulled out, but it is still possible in circumstances to re-identify the information. And so in Canada, we are saying then that is still personal information, and it is subject to all of these rules and same safeguards as regular personal information that has not been de-identified. Jodi, what is the US stance on de-identification?
Yeah, the US stance is we typically exclude that idea of de-identification from the definition of personal information. We also exclude what's called public information. So if it's publicly available from some government entity, that is excluded. It doesn't mean that my name and email were just plastered on a website. That's not necessarily considered public information. But if it was sort of the official definition, it's excluded. And also when it comes to AI and artificial intelligence, there's not necessarily a carve out for that in this law. It's really kind of covered within the types of data in those categories and the purposes of processing. What is interesting though, is some of the states have specific biometric laws, and those laws would not be preempted. So there is definitely a focus on that sensitive information, especially when it comes to biometric data. Have any final thoughts you want to add for this new Canada law?
So in the case of both laws, I believe they are not exactly passed yet. They are proposed.
Definitely proposed. We got
definitely proposed. This is our second go at this. There was one in 2021 that people didn't like so much and it got kiboshed. This is a better version of that law. So we are, fingers crossed, privacy professionals in Canada are very excited to see this go.
And in the US, we've had a lot of laws introduced. This is the probably closest one we've actually had be seriously considered, and privacy professionals are also very excited. So I invite you to stay tuned, and as these laws and of course other wonderful privacy topics make their way through the process, we will bring you the latest and break them down. For more information or to share what you're most excited about, please drop your comments below.
Thank you so much.